Hello and welcome to Iberodocs, the 8th edition Iberodocs 2021. My name is Isabel Moura Mendes. I'm a Black middle-aged woman with dark hair, wearing a dark blue top and cardigan. I'm in my living room and behind me is a bookcase and a plant. Here with us on screen is Danielle Rennie, who is providing BSL interpretation. Danielle is a white woman with black glasses, dark hair, and a white background. Before I introduce our guests for this evening, I'd like to remind everyone that this Q&A is going to be recorded. And now I'd like to welcome Alberto Arvela, the director of the documentary Free Color, Arvelo, the grandson of Carlos Cruz Diaz, Gabriel Cruz. Welcome to you both. And I'm going to ask you to please describe yourselves for our audience.
Gabriel, you start.
Hello, my name is Gabriel Cruz. I'm an Hispanic man with curly black hair in a very colorful living room because I have a lot of Cruz Diaz work around me. So I am between, the black shirt and the colorful works behind me.
Hello, I'm Alberto Arvelo, also Hispanic, also curly hair, nothing original, some brown glasses. I'm wearing, as Gabriel is wearing a black shirt and a black jacket and a boring white background behind me.
Thank you both. Before we jump into the conversation, which I'm very excited to do that with you tonight, I just want to ask to remind the audience that if you want to ask your questions to our guests, please use the Q&A function and type your questions. For privacy reasons, we cannot take questions in BSL, but if you type your question, the interpreter can use this language to answer. And now I have to start with, obviously, a mandatory congratulations to the both of you for this wonderful documentary that you've gifted us. All of the audience that will be able to see the documentary would have seen it so far and will be able to see it for the next few days as well. Because it does manage something quite unique, a combination of playfulness and seriousness. It's very unpretentious, it's very straightforward. And that makes us think of the man itself, the maestro, Carlos Cruz Diaz. It delves deep into the prolific artwork that he has, and it's present all over the world, from his native city, Caracas in Venezuela, to Miami, to Liverpool, and I can list the multiple cities that Alberto was able to bring into life for us. At the same time, his approach to life, where his creative element merged with his emotional self in a very moving interpretation of what the Flemish ateliers would have done, transforming it to a workshop, a collaborative practice, which very well Alberto kind of calls it El Maestro y su Oficina, unveils an abstract thinker, a philosopher, a patriarch, all wrapped into one person. And I think that maybe we'll start with that, the more complex element of that, which is his final impossible dream project, which carries the documentary from beginning to end, how to liberate color from form. And this is a theme that occupies the artist's final year of his life. And it's really clearly, obviously, a lifelong pursuit. But Alberto and Gabriel, you'll correct me if I interpreted this wrong, but it feels like almost like a yearning that he's carried with him to create this chromatic event that would be ephemeral and immaterial. So let's dig deep into that thematic. Was it a lifelong pursuit, and how is it that it occupied his last year of life and that you capture that? Alberto.
Well, I think we in a point, actually Maestro was in Panama, and we were traveling. I was traveling with my wife, who produced the film with Gabriel. And we stopped in Panama and we went to say hello to Gabriel, Maestro Cruz Diez, and the family there. And we had this amazing conversation with Gabriel's father, Jorge, who had the dream of doing a documentary about Maestro Cruz Diez. And we decided to start a journey from Jorge's inspiration. And we immediately understood that we needed to find something specific. I mean, something that was not of his amazing, unique past. I'm talking about a person who at that moment was 94 years old.
Yes.
But something coming from his present and his future. And so we started exploring and talking to him, and Gabriel guided us into these beautiful conversations until we found the last day. He mentioned basically that dream he had for 4 decades to fully free, liberate in a way, color from form, from shape. And he said, it is an obsession I have. And actually, this beautiful work that Gabriel has behind him, if you get closer and closer and closer and closer, you get to a point that you are freeing in that little experience, color from shape and form. But he wanted to do this in a physical way, like provoking, a sphere of light in the middle of nowhere, free from any shape, which was the most amazing poetic dream. That was the way we started. But Gabriel, I think more than anybody about this obsession and his dream of doing this.
Yes, please, Gabriel, tell us a bit more.
Yeah, and it's beautiful what Beto is saying, because my grandfather found something about color, and he said, well, this is a way, I have like an opportunity to develop my artistic speech forever. I mean, he found that in late 40s. And he started to create his own artistical speech around color. And he said, well, an artist, when you find something, you need to, work around this idea. In his case, was a color. And he understood that color was used as a complementary thing of shapes. I mean, we always talk about this apple green or this table brown, and he proposed to talk about color without any shape, without any relationship with the form, and he tried in a physical support like this one, in cardboard and wood, in aluminum, and then plexiglass, but was always a color paste in a way on the surface. And he said, no, I want to talk about color without any shape, without any surface. And that's why he tried to put the color outside. And the conversation we had one day about magnetic fields, he said, that's what I want, using the magnetic field to bring the color into the space. And he said, okay, cool, sounds good, but it's impossible to do that, at least today.
Yes, yes.
And we talk about that with Beto, and was the main idea.
Spark, yes, and that forms kind of the narrative, the thread that carries us through a beautiful story of discovery for us. of the maestro and all of his different elements as a human being, complex, obviously, clearly a thinker, clearly a philosopher, clearly, a visionary, one would say, because to pursue this concept, this idea that was very real, very concrete for him, to the point that I think, Alberto, in the end, you kind of create something that gives us at least a glimpse of what perhaps it's in Maestro's mind, because we can't go inside, so we kind of try to imagine that. And you do that as well by going to a lot of efforts to create this subtle optical effects that you offer us here and there throughout the film, alongside showing a lot of his creations, these kind of like monumental installations that we see, the color-drenched environments that we see that. And I'm wondering why you felt like it was important to have this visual tour of the work as we were discovering the maestro. Why was it so important for the work to be so present? Because I know why I appreciated that, but I wanted to hear from you on that.
Well, it's also because I think we understood that it was a documentary also about color. I mean, color was the other protagonist of this film, and we wanted to, in a way, take the audience to a journey through colors from Maestro's point of view, and his way of seeing color was unique. I think where you can see white behind me, he was seeing 10, 12, 20 types of white, and color for him was something totally different. And I felt this could be a unique experience for the audience. So we wanted, in a way, a documentary to be also a journey through color from a poetic point of view. And basically trying, encouraging the audience to see colors in a different way, and to understand that we are surrounded by beauty in a way we don't usually see. So it was very important, and obviously it was a documentary about this phenomenal artist. And we needed the documentary itself to be a piece of art. I mean, serving him, it was, we decided that we wanted his voice, not our voice. Our voice was serving his, in a way. I think that is fundamental.
Gabriel, I wanted to ask you, because in addition to all of the imagery and some of the nuances that Alberto brings, there's also clearly this last sentence that he said around creating being a work of art, the documentary being a work of art in itself, to honor the maestro as well. That comes across as well in other elements like the musical score, which is beautiful and adds another layer to it. And I wanted to know how involved you were with that, or I don't know, how surprised you were with the levels, all the different elements that Alberto brought to the documentary in honor of your grandfather. I wanted to hear that.
Beautiful. Yeah, I mean, the whole family worked together for the documentary, but I mean, the whole family works every day for my grandfather's work. We all work all together in our different studios in Paris and in Panama. Before that was Paris and Caracas. So the whole family, work was normal to work for my grandfather. But the new thing was to work for a dream of my grandfather. We were supposed to help my grandfather to produce his work, his regular work, cutting, painting, or hanging, or doing, a regular job. But this time, and for the first time and last time, we worked for his dreams. And that was beautiful because we were I was asking to my grandfather about the nuance, about the color, or how, saturated was the color, or how clear, and we were talking and talking and talking about the way he looked, this kind of aurora boreal, the
Yes, Aurora Borealis, yes.
and you say, well, but the aurora boreal is like something that happened in a few seconds. How do you want to keep this phenomenon into the space for 5, 10, 15 minutes?
Mhm.
And he said, well, if I can dream it, I can do it. And that's beautiful, because I remember my mother or my sister saying, well, how do you imagine that? Well, a yellowish color, I think bluish, and the whole family, were thinking in my grandfather's dream, and that was beautiful. The result, it's a I think, well, my grandfather saw the movie, and he
Oh, okay.
he modified, I don't know how many times, Beto, 20, 40 times, every color of the last scene.
Oh wow, that is that's a pearl of of knowledge to know. Obviously, he would have. It's great to know that he actually did get to see the documentary, which is not something that we see clearly. We're coming into our last 5 minutes, believe it or not. I would obviously continue this conversation. There's so much more to learn, but our audience, in our question and our Q&A here, there's someone asking about those family ties, and wanting to know if someone in the family has taken on the baton in a way to understand this creative process in the way that the maestro did. Is it still happening within the family?
No, well, in fact, today we have the studios and the foundation. We have the Cruz Diez Art Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Since we created the foundation 15 years ago with my grandfather. So it was the Cruz Diez Foundation made by himself and my grandmother. And that is our, let's say, our umbrella, the family, and we work all together with and for the foundation. But the design, the creation, everything was made by my grandfather. We only helped my grandfather to cut, to put together, represent him, but the creation stops. We are finishing some architectural projects. We are finishing some limited editions, but nobody can produce a new Cruz Diez. That's why we have an art studio. We work for Cruz Diez, but for another artist, and that's a way that to keep the studio open.
Yeah, and I think that's also an answer to one of the questions that had been here in terms of how much do you think that his work would have inspired other creatives to take on some of the questions that he had, both in art and science, because he posed challenges to both fields of knowledge. So I think that's the answer in terms of like keeping present his work and documenting his work, and then allowing for the artists to take on. I think it's just in the last minutes before we go, I wanted to ask Alberto, I think you know that the theme of this festival was art as need, and I think it connects so beautifully to this documentary. So I'm just going to ask you for a final comment before we wrap up on this theme of arts as need in light of your documentary.
Well, absolutely. I mean, wouldn't be more coherent with the documentary and what Maestro was in ways proposing his whole life. I think especially in these times, art is a must. In these times, art has the answers for many things. It's art. Usually in difficult moments like this, artists are the first to really come with inspiration for people, and now more than ever we are understanding the importance of art in any society, in any place, in any community. So I celebrate this, and I do congratulate you guys for this incredible effort, and it is really important. It is, yeah. So bravo, I mean it.
Thank you. Thank you, Alberto, and thank you, Gabriel, for an amazing documentary that helps us discover and go a little bit deeper into the Maestro's work. Much more to discover, but there's the foundation where we can learn more, and we'll follow the rest of your filmic work, Alberto. We'll keep an eye on your next productions. From the festival, I just wanted to thank everyone for joining this Q&A and to remind you that the film Free Color will be available until Saturday, the 24th at 6 p.m. So from us, thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Isabel. Thank you, Danielle.